Welcome back from the short break. You are still tuned in to the Power Station Energy 100 with myself, Elsa Bidibinyani, and of course, we are on Econojet. Let's talk business with Mr. Daniel Steinman. Before we went on a break, Mr. Daniel Steinman did say that he would explain to us or give us a tap back into history to just give us a background of what has happened with the PSCE since 2020? 2010, well, even way back.
Okay, but Elsa, you need to recap. What again is PSCE?
Private Sector Credit Extension.
That's it. You must enroll for course.
I will do that, certainly.
Elsa, before I explain or dwell into the history or the recent history of private sector credit, I need to tell our listeners that in the beginning or at the beginning of every year, the Economist prepares like a little brochure, information brochure, which is just a listing of all the activities that we are engaged in.
Okay.
And over the last 6 years, since we've become a fully digital publication, we have grown the number of channels very much. We are now basically active on more than 10 different platforms, which are all marketing strategies to get to a bigger slice of the potential audience out there. But the reason why I'm telling you this is not because I expect Elsa Bidibinyani to do our marketing. That we do ourselves. But for the first time, your name feature in that brochure of ours, that where we introduce the weekly talk shows on Energy 100 with the host Elsa Bidibinyani. And that thing was just sent yesterday and this morning to more than 16,000 Namibian email addresses.
Oh, wow.
So suddenly, half the country knows that you and I are talking about economics every week.
Everybody will tune in.
Yep, I think so.
And definitely we'll have a broader audience that you will be educating and also informing on what is happening around the world in terms of the economy. And that it actually goes back to you, and the credit goes back to you. But also, once again, like I always, thank you. I humbly thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, so now let's look at private sector credit. Private sector credit is, you can describe it very plainly as just the money that companies borrow, which in effect it is. But there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if companies do not have confidence in their ability to make a profit, they don't borrow. They only go to the bank and say, give us money, if they feel that if their business plan tells them, yes, the market will grow, this is our sales, we can grow it by so much, we can service the loan, we can pay back the bank, we can grow and expand. That is the important magic words for a private sector company. To grow and expand, and to be able to do that, you have to have access to credit, to money, to capital. Where do you get it? You get it either from your shareholders or you get it from banks. And typically, 99% of the cases, you get it from a bank. So, if private sector credit extension is coming down, it is an indication of a lack of confidence on the private sector side in the economy. So what has happened is that if in the past we used to run PSCE figures, it's measured monthly, but it's annualized. And what it means is I measure it for January, let's say January 2023, then I compare it to January 2022. Same month, a year later. And it gives you that figure that I've quoted. Now, this figure typically ran at about 13 or 14%. And in 2012 and 2013, when the economy was really blooming, it went up to 18, 19%, And there were one specific month that I remember where it went above 21%. Now, what did we see in the last week is the private sector credit extension for January this year was only 2.6%, and it was down from 3.4% in December. Now remember, all of these figures are measured monthly, annualized. So the December figure is a comparison to December 2021.
Yeah.
And one has to be honest, it's not very difficult to improve on the 2021 figures because they were so low. It's called a low base effect. And it means that if you measure from 1 and you add 3, it is a 75% increase. But if you measure from 10 and you add 3, it's only a 30% increase. The same nominal amount gives you different percentages because it depends on how high the base is where you start measuring. Now this is becoming a little bit technical, and you know that I'm always very, very alert not to drown the audience in technicalities. But what I want to tell you is that it is not a good sign if private sector credit is coming down and the government budget is going up.
Okay.
And we can talk about this just now because the two should have been in tandem. If the government budget goes up, PSCE must also go up, and it did not.
Okay, so after the break, you will elaborate more on the two, coming together and why it is important for it to be at the same level. But on that note, let's quickly go for a short break. We'll be back after these.